My name is Michael Fajardo. This is my defensive instruction. This is for the 8th grade algebra, and the learning target is 3E. I can define, interpret, and find the slope of a given line. For my lesson, what I did was I started with a hook. According to Alan Baddeley, activating one knowledge element or resource may lead to the activation of other related resource elements. So what I'm attempting to do here is connect my hook, the video, with the lesson of slope of a line. At this point in time, I had 100% engagement. What I was doing was, my hook was a video of a race car driver jumping off a ramp. What he was attempting to do was break the world record of distance traveled from a ramp. What I did was I had the students focus on the ramp, which illustrated the slope, where the ramp had the slope of a line. Didn't mention what slope was at that point, so I wanted to lead into my IBE, which I did continue here on my IBE. I posed a few questions. What if the ramp were steeper? What if the ramp was not as steep? What would the outcome be if it were steeper? And what would the outcome be if it were not as steep? At that time, I had 95% engagement.
Discuss what you think will happen.
So what I had the students do is, after I posed those questions, I had the students pair up with a partner and discuss those questions, and I gave them a few minutes, and then I gave them opportunity to share their thoughts. Many of them did have many of the pairs shared the same thoughts, so I gave them opportunity to voice what they had to say. Then I continued on with the JTPS. According to Giroux in 2004, generalization may support students' understandings across classes of problem situations, helping them to make important connections. So here I'm trying to make that connection with the ramp and have them think about it and lead into the lesson on slope. So I did continue with, what if I put dimensions on the ramp? What if the ramp were 10 units? And what about if the ramp were 2 units? Which ramp would give the driver a better opportunity to break the record? Here I'm giving them a chance to think about the different types of ramps. At this time, I still haven't mentioned slope at all. I gave the students a few minutes to discuss with their partner, and I gave them a chance to share their thoughts. Then I'd lead into my mini lecture. According to Biggs in 1987, techniques in interactive lecturing aims to activate thinking so that students can experience higher level of cognitive learning. After that research, I felt that it was important for me to present my lecture as accurate as possible with this lesson on slope. So I continued with the definition of slope, that it was denoted by the letter M. I continued with I gave the formal definition. I gave the ratio as it's represented by rise over run, and that it's the rate of change between 2 points. I continued on with the 4 types of slope: positive, negative, zero slope, and undefined. And then I mentioned what the formula is, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And during my lecture, I did differentiate. I color-coded my notes. I was actually I was going back and forth from a PowerPoint to the whiteboard. What I did was I color-coded points. So on the graph, if there was a point 1, I'd label that I'd color that a certain color, and then I'd match it on the text. When I'm writing out the point, I'd have that match with the color, and then I'd have that same color within the formula. So point 1 on the graph would be blue. I'd write its coordinates in blue, and then I'd write its numbers in blue in the formula. And I do that with point 2 as well. Just to assist ELs or special needs, students with special needs. At that time, I would, after the lecture, I would do a check for understanding with a thumbs up, thumbs down. At this point, if I seen any thumbs down, I would find out what questions the student has, our students have, and see if I can redo my lecture and go over it clearly and writing in larger text and continuing with the color coding. In this case, I did have all thumbs up in my lesson, so I continued on with the I do, we do, you do. I did 2 examples on how to solve slope. After the 2 examples, I did do a check for understanding with a thumbs up, thumbs down. And then I continued with the we do. We did 1 problem as a class together. And then I continued with the you do. I had the class do 2 on their own. So according to Vygotsky, a child follows an example and gradually develops the ability to do certain tasks without help. Yeah, I continued with the students doing the 2 on their own. So after they completed that, I asked the question of what happens if there's a 0 in the numerator or denominator. Sometimes you might not get a whole number in slope. So I explained what happens if you get a 0 on top or 0 on bottom. This gave me the opportunity to review what happens when you divide by 0. Sometimes students forget that you can't divide by 0, that it's undefined. Then I continued with the active practice. At this time, I had 100% engagement with my active practice. It's yours. Oh, you and your partner. So I did have 100% engagement during that time. What I had them do for the active practice was a tic-tac-toe exercise. On the tic-tac-toe board, I had values of slopes, and underneath that I had 12 problems, each problem consisting of 2 coordinate points, where each problem you'd have to find the slope of a line. Here's an example of one of them. I had a tic-tac-toe board with different values of slopes and certain problems to pick from. This is just an example. The one I actually had 12 problems. I did differentiate with basic, proficient, and advanced in order to cater to the 5 subgroups of grade level: IEP, GATE, students with special needs, and English learners. I would have them pick which level they wanted to start off with. I would encourage them to challenge themselves with taking a higher level than they're normally used to working with. At this time, I would walk around the class to assess for understanding and see if I see any same mistakes being made, any patterns of mistakes, or to see if they really do understand the lecture. In my case, in the lesson, they did. The majority of the class was applying that formula and coming up with the correct slopes. After the active practice, I assigned homework. I differentiated this one as well with basic, proficient, and advanced. This was to cater with the 5 subgroups of grade level: IEP, GATE, special needs, and English learners. I assigned 8 homework problems, and also I had them pick which level they wanted to do for homework and give me a reason why they picked that level. And to end class, I did present an exit slip as well. I did differentiate with basic, proficient, and advanced for the 5 groups of students. Each level had 2 problems of finding the slope, and I had the students pick the level that they felt comfortable with. Aside from the exit slip, I did present a question at the end. According to Peggy Albers, teachers must be flexible enough in their planning to enact changes based upon students' responses. So the question I asked was how they felt about the lesson plan, about the lesson for the day. This would give me a chance to get feedback from them to see if the lesson was effective, or if I need to make any changes, or if students actually need further assistance. On the exit slip, it was the rubric was on a scale of 5 points. I had 75% score, 4 points or higher. overall for this lesson, I did feel really good and confident about the lesson. I felt really good about the hook. I was excited to see that the students were 100% engaged. A lot of the boys seemed pretty excited about seeing a race car jump off a ramp. I felt good about my mini lecture and my IBE. I felt the IBE was perfect, aligned with the hook. What changes or anything that went wrong, changes I would make were I would incorporate more technology into my lesson. I did have a PowerPoint, but I actually handwritten on the whiteboard during my lecture. I would incorporate more technology in the future, and during lecture I would walk around more. I seem to just stay in one place while conducting my lecture. So overall, I felt good about it. I look forward to teaching in the future, and that concludes my lesson on my defensive instruction. Thank you.